Hello and welcome back to the X-Ring. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. What we're going to do today is talk about and review a long-term review of the Primary Arms 6.5 to 30 PLx5. So in full disclosure, this scope was sent to me about 10 months ago by Primary Arms. I did not purchase it, and to be truthfully honest with you, I wasn't that familiar with Primary Arms products. I'd never really used them. I thought it was more of an economical scope line, and that's just being honest. They are based out of Texas, and this scope right here, this one in particular, is made in Japan. So when I was sent the scope, I really wanted to put it through its paces because I wanted it to be more of an evaluation of, is it something that I would actually use or consider? And after having it for 10 months, I absolutely would. I actually recommend this scope. I do field a lot of questions via email about what scope I would recommend in this price point. And ultimately, guys, that's what it comes down to, is price point. I don't have a lot of experience with other optics below that $1,000 price point because back in the day, if you bought something that was less than $1,000, it just didn't work. That's not the case today. With the manufacturers being on board with long-range shooting and it being such a large growing segment of the shooting community, what you're seeing is a lot of these first focal plane scopes coming way down in price. Heck, a friend of mine just bought a first focal plane Vortex the other day for less than $300, and I was like, wow, back in the day that would have been, $1,000+ or more. So let's talk more about this scope here. So during the 10 months that I've had it, this scope has actually been in about 5 different mounts on over 20 different rifles. You've probably seen this scope in a lot of my evaluations or reviews of other rifles. It's been on a lot of different things. So a lot of different recoil, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6mm Creedmoor, 22 long rifle. This was actually used by Is Your Six Covered on his 6.5 Creedmoor Tikka on a 3-day match. It was the Hornady PRC match because it did qualify for a production division scope because of the price point. Price point on this is right at $1,600, and it does offer a lot of features for that price. So let's go ahead and start working our way from eyepiece to the objective and see what we've got. All right, so looking at the scope up close, we're going to start at the ocular here, and one of the things you're going to notice is it does have Butler Creek caps. These are provided with the scope itself, and that's really nice. I wish other manufacturers would provide them so we're not trying to source them after the fact. And looking at the adjustable ocular here, it is really nice. It is machined aluminum, but it does have this rubber eye ring here, so that's really nice because it keeps any dings from occurring on sharp edges or anything like that. Coming on down, you have the power ring here. It is a 6 to 30, and the resistance is what I would call perfect. It's one of the best that I've ever felt. It's not too much, it's not too little. It does have a 34mm main tube, and it does have very large turrets. These are 10th mil adjustable clicks, and it does have very distinct clicks. Now, I'm not going to say they're mushy, but they do not feel as tactile as, let's say, like a Vortex Razor, but it's fine. I don't think they're going to move, and I've never had one move inadvertently. It does have a return to zero adjustment in here. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. It does have 3 set screws to adjust your zeros for your caps for windage and elevation. As far as the parallax adjustment, this is going to be my biggest complaint with it. It is has a little more resistance than I would prefer. It is tough to turn it with just 2 fingers. You have to really grasp this, and so it's really hard to adjust that. Now, that's not unique to this scope because I've compared it to other Primary Arms PLXs, and they all feel the same. Remember, we've exposed this to a lot of different temperatures and environments, and it has not loosened up over the 10 months that I've owned it. The illumination is really nice. It is night vision compatible, and it goes all the way up to the 11 range, and it does illuminate the entire field of the reticle itself, unlike other manufacturers that just do the internal horizontal and vertical lines. Coming on down, you'll see the objective here. It is a 56mm objective with, once again, the Butler Creek objective cover. The battery on this is a standard CR2032, so that's pretty common, but that's a review of the scope up close. All right, so now that you've seen it up close, let's talk about some other things that make this a really attractive package. One, that illumination is variable. It does have an off position in between each location. So if you're at 1, then you have off, then you have 2. So as you increase, you have an off position between each location. I wish manufacturers would make an auto off after an hour or so, because I have found a dead battery a couple of times, once using it, forgetting to turn it off, or someone else using it and forgetting to turn it off, and then I would have a dead battery. As far as the internal adjustments, it does have 95 minutes of angle of total travel for elevation. It has 45 minutes of angle in the windage. So that does give you quite a range. I do like that about it. It does have fully multi-coated optics. It is fog resistant. It is waterproof to IP67 standards, and it is made in Japan. It does have the lifetime warranty, which is transferable, so you don't have to be the original purchaser of this scope. Now, one of the biggest things I like about this particular scope was the one that they sent me. This is the one that has the Athena BPR mill reticle. I've actually had a chance to meet and speak with the inventor of this reticle. He probably holds more reticle patents than anyone else I know. He is the designer and developer of the ACSS reticle. It's Dimitri with Primary Arms, and he did a great job with this reticle. But it does have a center chevron. I'll show you that up close. And that center chevron really gives you the opportunity to find an infinite point for precision rifle shooting. It's not like you're going to obscure something. If you've ever used a chevron type reticle, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he also incorporated range estimation in here as well. So if you're shooting some type of DMR match or something like that, where you need to be able to take a human-sized target and range estimate how far that target is, that's conveniently located in the top right-hand corner of the reticle. So a lot of really, really good things. It even has 10th mil graduations inside of the reticle. You do have 10th mil adjustments on the turret knobs. But one thing I am going to gig them on, I really wish they would use some standard type of screw size to release these turrets. I have the original Allen key that came with it, but you're not going to be able to pull it out of a standard hex head size. So if you lose that, locking these down is going to be a little more of a chore for you. I think I mentioned before the price point is around $1,600, and you do get good quality glass for that. The Japanese glass is good, but as with most Japanese glass, what I've seen is when you get into that mid-20s and on up power range, it does get a little milky in there. And that's across the board, not just with Primary Arms. That's what I've typically seen. And unless you're getting into German glass or getting into higher end Night Force glass, you're going to see that always in that mid-20s range on up. Another thing that kind of got me is they sent me the 6-30 by 56. So it is a 56 millimeter objective. This is a 6-30 by 50 first focal plane. This is a 6-30 by 50. So I have measured the objective. It is a 56 millimeter objective. You make a great product. I've had zero issues with this, and I would recommend it to someone in that price point. There are quite a few optics in that $1,500 to $1,800 price point. You could get into, let's say, a Burris XTR3. You could get into a Razor HD without a trimmer reticle or something like that. Sometimes you can find them on sale in that $1,800 price point. This is actually going to save you a couple of $100 over those. This will also give you the ability to probably purchase your rings or your mounts for the price you're going to save on the other ones. Guys, I do stand behind this product. I do think it's a good option for anyone looking for one. I've had zero issues with I've actually run a tall target test with this, and I am less than 1% error. It's actually closer to 0.3% of error, which was really surprising. But I do know that they do a good job with their reticle testing on the Primary Arms. Other things that I want to mention is because it is in that platinum line, you are going to get this when you get the scope. And this is where it was hand checked for tracking up, down, horizontal. You can see how that was filled out. So it's just that extra level of care. It's that inspection process, making sure the reticle's straight, making sure everything else is good. It does come with a standard owner's manual. It does come with a thank you, and then also a test target. It does have a sunshade on here, which has never been installed, but they did do everything right. So guys, I did want to bring you this review and tell you that it is a good scope. I do stand behind the scope, and I hope you enjoyed that review of the Primary Arms PLx5 6-30. It is a good option for someone that's wanting to get into long range, or even for hunting for that matter. As far as the weight, it comes in just a little over 38 ounces, like 38.3 ounces, which is 10 ounces lighter than, let's say, a Vortex Razor HD. I hate comparing both of them like that, but it is something that is in that higher end, so that's why I did want to mention it. Hope you enjoyed that review. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.